Not so slick. Kind of like that, but you can see that arch back there. Well, anyway, that's Penny's urging. I'm going to be reading from my book. Penny's urging, and also Sherry Donahoe have mentioned something about this and had made some suggestions. Could be reading from my book, Leonardo da Vinci Sucks, and there will be copies available at different times, and different kinds of copies. Each copy is going to be its own individual piece. So anyway, this is the preface. I began writing this book as an intellectual and aesthetic exercise. The aim was to seek convincing evidence and argument for the rational consideration of the possibility of an anarchist utopia. It is my hope that more people would take this sort of thought seriously. Really, it is my hope that a wider range of the human population would take any sort of higher thought seriously. Though I intended to write from a perspective founded in a 16-year Buddhist meditation practice, there is certainly the spirit of something less than Buddhist arising in areas of the book. Partly, this is the artist in me reaching for rhetorical impact, and partly it is because I was trying all I could to provide value for the attentions of those who might not usually be interested in anarchism or Buddhist study and practice, which is to say, I was trying to be entertaining. I would like to penetrate the thought of those who have never considered life as being something other than a game to win or a burden to lose, or to at least give those of further sight, inspiration, and fodder by which they might try to penetrate these sleepwalking minds in their daily dealings with them. As I admonish near the end of the book, one must cast their net widely and let it sink in deep. There is just no use in preaching solely to the choir. Parts of the book are technical, whereas other parts are poetic, and still other parts have intentionally been left feeling a bit unfinished or sloppy, kind of like life. And other parts were left unfinished because I was so fucking bored with it all. Anyway, aesthetically, I intended a sense of unevenness and imbalance for a large part of the book. Just because it is something you wouldn't do yourself, and just because it is something you don't understand, does not mean there is something wrong with it. My affliction is to defy the mundane. People put on airs and look down on others in mundane life because their personalities are fed only by the cultural compost of the symbolic. They do not perceive the fathomless truth of their majesty, and therefore are only able to behave in as near an approximation of majesty as they can generally refer in the ignorant haze of symbols, of portraying themselves to the outside world, not knowing they are it, are the total of nature and cosmos. And through my writing, I keep the difference between symbols for things, words are symbols, and the things themselves prominent in my mind. The intellectual, cultural, economic, and political climates of our society are almost entirely based on symbols. Money is a symbol. all our advertising and entertainment are symbols, and even our food can seem symbolic in its mass-produced, profit-maximizing form, never quite reaching a state of what could be referred to truly as real food. Even our very conscious experience can be, of sorts, symbolic, when one prefers the consciousness-altered experience of drugs to the full range of actual consciousness. If the species largely understood its beauty and mystery, egoic errors, separation, error itself would cease. But the world is the way it is, and no one quite treats anyone as they should be treated. Only the greedy are bold as true lovers should have been since before birth. In a society of symbol fetishists, we come to feel the only import of life is in the manipulation of symbols rather than in the true appreciation of not only our life, but of being itself. Well, of course, symbols can be made to have good and bad effects. Imagine a world in which the food, trade, and information were real, and the murders and wars were symbolic. Video games and the internet may be the new messiahs. I can see McDonald's becoming a global chain of vegan internet cafes in the not-too-distant future. I just have no sense of the profitable. Believe me, I would rather have written something that makes sense for the symbol-minded and brings more of these symbols to me, and the word symbols there is written with dollar signs, S with a line through it, in place of the S's in the word symbols. But I have been stuck in the mind of true art since before birth. My plan B, since before birth also, is what I currently am doing for a living. I'm a mechanic, and actually, that was, during writing this, I was a motorcycle mechanic. I am now working in a geotech lab, whatever that is. So it turns out that neither am I the sense maker of all the cosmos, micro and macro, and sadly, God doesn't listen to prayers for a revolution of beauty, at least not from me. And it just doesn't seem right to force it. So here's the book. That's the preface. Leonardo da Vinci Sucks, and I'll continue making videos of me reading this book and posting them over time.